Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, here we have another annual report, another woeful picture of poor performance, mismanagement, wastage, and a lot of chaos to boot. This is depicted in the numbers. The two main programs of this department, namely Public Works and EPWP, achieved only 48% and 43% of their annual targets respectively. I will not mention all the failed KPIs, but I will highlight a sample. Empowerment targets related to military veterans, people with disabilities, youth, SMMEs and township revitalisation failed. Financial targets such as revenue collected from leased properties, invoices paid within 30 days, reduction in prior years' accruals and irregular expenditure failed. Project targets such as number of infrastructure designs ready for tender, number of new facilities completed, number of renovations, number of conditional assessments failed. EPWP targets such as work opportunities created in the infrastructure sector as well as municipalities and also EPWP participants trained failed. In addition, this department is responsible for numerous unfinished and abandoned projects deteriorating in the African sun. The list of these projects are as long as my arm. Some of these projects have now been reprioritised to be completed before the end of this term. Why do we need to wait for a new Premier to reprioritise projects that should have been completed months and even years ago? The Kopanong Precinct, a project which was initiated in 2003, has after all these years reached the tender stage. A probity audit, however, indicated that not a single bidder for the work was compliant with the requirements. As a result, the audit report recommended that the tender be cancelled and re-advertised. Any attempt to bypass the recommendation of the Audit Committee will be met with a legal challenge. The Auditor General criticises the Department for not using resources economically, in that the Department incurred capital expenditure of 500 million rand in the refurbishment of Anglo Gold Ashanti Private Hospital. While DID may be responsible for the irregular appointment of contractors to refurbish the hospital, the finger of blame for the stupendously amateurish decision that wasted R500 million must be pointed at the former Premier and the former MEC for Health who took this decision in the COVID Command Council. The brazen waste of so much money is something that will follow the former Premier forever, as will Esidimeni, Babita Diakaran, PPE corruption, and the 3 firefighters who lost their lives at the Bank of Lisbon. Premier Lesufi, if you're still online, the poor outcomes of infrastructure in this province is a legacy of the fact that your party and your government is bereft of skills and expertise. But this should not come as a surprise to you, as I and others have been raising these issues for years. Your predecessor chose to ignore these inputs, accusing us of being overly critical and covering up for a dysfunctional department. And then the chickens came home to roost. All the user departments using the services of DID complained bitterly about the poor quality of output and lack of value for money. They have requested to utilise alternative infrastructure providers. DID was stripped of responsibility to refurbish Charlotte Matreke after the fire and to maintain health infrastructure because of their inability to get the job done. Premier, you can choose the same path as your predecessor and ignore the wastage and incompetence, or you can intervene decisively to fix the systemic rot that exists in the department. Prioritising incomplete projects is a start, but it is going to take a total overhaul of policies, processes, personnel and institutional models to fix the diabolical state in which this department finds itself. Or maybe you will just leave the mess for those who will come after you. Your electoral strategy of appropriating all public funds and resources that have not yet been pilfered or spent and directing them to your party supporters is clear for all to see. Manipulation of resources to meet a political objective aside, if you do not do the honest work of fixing the systemic weaknesses in the department, infrastructure will never assist the province to emerge from the morass into which you have driven us. Thank you.